Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Brushes and Bunnies, and in this video we're going to be doing a lip drawing tutorial in which I will talk about the do's and don'ts of drawing lips in my style. What you're going to need for this video is, of course, a graphite pencil. I like to use a mechanical pencil. You can find the brand and description down below in the video description. Of course, you're also going to need an eraser and a sketchbook. As always, you can find all of the materials that I use down below in the video description. Drawing lips may seem to be very difficult at first, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes a lot of fun and it becomes very easy to draw. In this tutorial, we're not going to be focusing on how to do realistic mouths. We're going to be doing a more illustrative look, and this is sort of the style that I've been taking up recently, and I'll be showing you how to draw the lips that I normally draw. In terms of the don'ts, I just want to cover a couple of the common mistakes that people will tend to do when drawing mouths. The first being drawing extremely heavy with their lead pencil or their graphite pencil, basically making the outlines very heavy and using dark lines right off the bat. This heaviness could also include in the way that the person will shade the mouth. I've seen in the past many people shade mouths extremely detailed that it no longer looks realistic, and a lot of the times you don't need this extreme shading. You can just get away with a couple or a little bit of shading and a little bit of highlight, and this will end up making it look a little bit more realistic or much nicer than just heavy shading. Another common mistake would be in terms of the placement of the lips, and what I mean by that is exactly how far you should draw the lips, how wide you should draw the lips. This is of course in accordance to the irises of your character, so depending on where your eyes are drawn, the corners of the lips will meet up towards the irises of the eyes, and this is the indication of how wide your lips should be drawn. And a lot of the times mistakes could be maybe you draw your lips a little bit too short or maybe too wide, that it goes over the sort of iris kind of center point, and it just looks off, disproportionate, and it doesn't really work for the face of your character. Now for the do's, I'm actually going to start off with a topic that we last talked about, and that is in terms of the lip placement on the face. So we're going to be doing a really quick sketch here where I'm just going to be drawing a very rough nose and very rough eyes. I know the eyes are a little bit wonky looking. I did not pay attention to straightening them or aligning them that great, so please ignore that. But this is not really the point. I just want to show you where, very roughly, where I usually align my lips with the irises of my eyeballs. So in terms of face drawing, I tend to start with the nose because the nose will indicate how where I place the eyes, and once I start to draw the eyes and I place the irises, then in this case this is my indication to draw the lips, because I know how far wide I should draw the corners of the lips to align with the irises of the eyes. In terms of drawing the lips, I always start with the center part, like where the lips will meet each other in the center. I start with this bit and I basically just eye out the width from the nose downwards based on the reference photo or what I think is okay. I'm sure there's a measurement for this, but I just don't know it off the top of my head. And then I will directly draw the corners of the lips and align it directly with the irises of the eyes that I drew beforehand. So this is basically the process I take every single time I draw a face, and it works out really well. And in this case, you can definitely know that your mouth isn't too big for your face or too small for your face. Of course, there's going to be some unique differences between people that you draw. Maybe in reference photos, some cases lips may be bigger or smaller, but that really depends. And this is pretty much the generic kind of proportions that I tend to take with my illustrative design or work. Now onto actually building and drawing the lips themselves. As mentioned before, the first step that I always take is drawing the center point where the lips will meet each other. And this center point is something you can play around with. You can have different sizes, different shapes, and basically how you draw it. If you draw it wider or more open, that's going to make it look like the lips are spreading apart a little bit more. And you can also play around with a little bit of a hint of a smile in this case. So the center point is always the place that I start with, and I will basically just draw one line on the top and one curved line on the bottom, and of course this will depend based on the reference photo I'm using or the character that I'm drawing. I then branch out by drawing the corners of the lips, and the corners of the lips, again, you have room to play. You can make them a little bit curved upwards or downwards to play with an expression if you want, but typically the corners of the lips will appear a little bit bigger, and I do like to draw little oval shapes for the corners of the lips. The next thing that I draw is the top lip, and the top lip, again, you have so many options to play around with. If you want to draw a female lip, you can make this one a little bit fuller and a little bit more curvier. If you want to draw a male lip, you can definitely flatten it and make a more pronounced angular shape that is a little bit flatter and thinner than the female lip. So this is a huge indication in terms of the different characteristics between female and male lips, and definitely the top and the bottom lip is where you can play around with the shape of that. In terms of shading, I will tend to shade the top lip, and I always do this a much lighter shade, but in terms of the shading, I really want to point out that it's easier if you just start off with a very light shade and you build the contrast as you add layers to that. So you can start off with the entire top lip shaded very lightly, and then as the lip goes towards the center line, you can then add a darker, thicker layer of darker kind of shading, and that's to sort of simulate a curvature to the lip, and also you can create a really beautiful gradient effect. In terms of the bottom lip, I do shade, but I do it very minimalistically. I just like to add shading to the corners of the lips and also underneath the bottom part of the lip as well. In terms of additional extra features that you can add to your lips, you can draw the lines, because some people have lips that have little wrinkles in them or like lines. Noticeably for females, they will have either, in between the top and the bottom lip, there might be a very pronounced line that splits down the center, and this is usually for girls that have thicker lips or just puffier lips or something. Then you can draw this sort of line down the center on the bottom and the top lip, and you can also have a bit of characteristics in between, like these lines on the lips in general, and this will really give you some really unique lips. So definitely play around with these features, and also you can add freckles to the lips, you can add highlights as well. Highlights are a little bit hard to draw. If you do like in my style, I don't usually add highlights unless I color it in with watercolor or marker. Then for sure I will do a highlight with a white gel pen or white gouache, for example. But in sketches, I typically don't add the highlight. But this is something that you can also do. Another thing I love doing as a final touch to my lips is to play around with the thicknesses of the lines. So at the beginning of this video, I said to sketch very lightly. Well, at the very end, I do like to maybe sketch a little bit more heavier in certain areas and to thicken some of the lines, especially where the lines or the lips meet in the center, the corners of the lips, and also the very bottom of the lip. I like to thicken this line, I like to darken it, and I like to play with the line weights. So this really adds an extra dimension to your lips, and it adds a little bit more realistic look, and it's just that extra touch that really brings it all together. To conclude this, I just want to say that using reference photos will definitely help you in terms of drawing the lips. Study people's lips, different ethnicities, different genders. Just look at how lips are built. Look at how different they can be, how different characteristics can be applied to them, and use this for your drawings. And this will really give your drawings an extra dimension in terms of creativity, uniqueness, and of course, there's a little bit more personality to your characters that you draw. Another thing I want to say is that there are so many different things you can draw in terms of lip style, in terms of, if you want a thinner top lip, a thicker bottom lip, vice versa. You can have both thick or thin lips. You can also differ the characteristics based on female or male, so you can have thinner, more angular shaped lips for males, and in this case for the drawing tutorial that I did pretty much all female lips, and you can see how large and in charge you can make them, and play with the curves and play with the roundness of the shape, and but you can also have thinner lips like the ones that I'm drawing now at the very bottom of the page, to have a very subtle feminine look. This is another thing that you can really play around with. So lips are definitely unique. They're fun to draw. They're really fun. These are one of my favorite things to draw on a human face, and you can have a lot of definitely a lot of fun with them. So that basically concludes this tutorial. I hope you had a lot of fun, and I hope that you learned something new. Let me know in the comments below what other tutorial you would like me to do. I've done eyes, I've done noses, and I've done lips now. I guess we should do more. I don't know, maybe how to put them all together, or yeah, I don't know. I have to see, but definitely more tutorials are coming your way on my channel. As always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe, and oh yeah, keep drawing, keep being awesome, never give up, and we will see each other very soon. Bye!